Welcome all. And this is the fifth lecture on stereochemistry. And this lecture will be on conformations of substituted cyclohexanes. As we have discussed in the previous modules, when cyclohexane undergoes ring flipping, the axial bonds become equatorial and the equatorial bonds become axial. But do remember that a beta bond remains always beta. The upward bond is called as beta bond that remains upward in the other chair form also. And the alpha bond remains as alpha bond. So axial is converted to equatorial and equatorial is converted to axial, but the alpha bonds remain alpha and beta bonds remain beta. In this module, we will be discussing about the conformations of some mono and disubstituted cyclohexanes. As an example for monosubstituted cyclohexane, let us consider the methyl cyclohexane. This methyl cyclohexane can exist in two forms as two conformers. Here in this conformation, we have the methyl group in the axial site, which is a beta bond. And here when this ring undergoes ring flipping, we get the equatorial conformer where methyl is in the equatorial side but still it remains beta. So axial bond becomes equatorial but the beta bond remains beta bond. Among these two conformers, which is the more stable one? And usually in case of monosubstituted cyclohexanes, the equatorial conformers are more stable than the corresponding axial conformer. In this particular case, let us consider the axial conformer. Here the methyl group is in the axial site and it is having a 1,3 diaxial repulsion. This is carbon number 1, and if you travel in this direction it is carbon number 3, and if you travel in the other way this 5 becomes carbon number 3. So in between the methyl group and this hydrogen there is a steric repulsion, and this repulsion, this 1,3 diaxial repulsion raises the energy of the molecule by 0.9 kilocalories per mole as given in this table. Therefore, there are two diaxial repulsive interactions of the same kind. Therefore, 2 into 9, 1.8 kilocalories per mole higher energy is there in this molecule than the corresponding equatorial conformer. Therefore, the axial conformer has higher potential energy than the equatorial conformer. That's why this axial conformer is less stable than the equatorial conformer. So among these two conformations, the more preferred or the more stable conformer is the equatorial conformer. Let us look a little closer the conformations of methyl cyclohexane. This is the axial conformer where we have the methyl group in the axial site, and this is the equatorial conformer. And in this axial conformer, the methyl group in the axial site will face a repulsion with the hydrogen oriented in the third carbon. So if this is carbon number 1, this is 2 and 3. In carbon number 3 there is an axial bond, upward axial bond, beta axial bond with a hydrogen, and there will be a repulsion between this hydrogen and methyl group, and that is called 1,3 diaxial repulsion. In a similar way, if you travel in the other way, this is carbon number 3 and there is an actual hydrogen here, and that also will have a steric repulsion. Therefore, with these two axial hydrogens, the methyl group will have the steric repulsion, and because of that, because of this 1,3 diaxial repulsive interaction, the energy of the molecule increases. For every 1,3 diaxial repulsion between hydrogen and methyl, the energy raised is 0.9 kilocalories per mole. And since there are two such 1,3 diaxial repulsions, one between these two, the other between this hydrogen and methyl, because of these two, the energy raised is 2 into zero point 0.9, that is 1.8 kilocalories per mole. Therefore, this axial conformer has 1.8 kilocalories per mole higher energy than this equatorial conformer due to the 1,3 diaxial repulsion. And apart from that, there is another uh, factor that is responsible for the increase in energy, that is the Gauss-Butane interaction, about which we have discussed in the earlier modules. So here you just look at the bonds which are shown with thick lines. This methyl carbon you label as 1, this is 2, 3, 4, and this forms a butane, and in between this bond and this bond there is Gauss-Butane interaction. Similarly, there is another Gauss-Butane interaction. Just consider this carbon as 1, this as 2, and this carbon as 3 and 4, and this forms another butane, and in between this bond and this bond there is Gauss-Butane interaction. Therefore, there are two Gauss-Butane interactions existing in this axial conformer. For every Gauss-Butane interaction, the increase in energy is 0.9 kilocalories per mole, and exactly similar to the 1,3 diaxial repulsion. Since there are two Gauss-Butane interactions, the energy raised due to Gauss-Butane interactions is zero point 0.9 into 2, that is 1.8 kilocalories per mole. Therefore, this axial conformer has higher potential energy due to the 1,3 diaxial repulsions and Gauss-Butane interactions. And energy raised due to diaxial repulsion is 1.8, and energy raised due to Gauss-Butane interaction is 1.8, and both together the energy difference between the axial and equatorial conformer is 3.6 kilocalories per mole. Therefore, the axial conformer has 3.6 kilocalories per mole higher potential energy than the equatorial conformer. Therefore, this equatorial conformer is more stable as this has lower energy. And just look at this equatorial conformer little closely. You may think of the Gauss-Butane interaction here. So this methyl carbon you consider as 1, this as 2, 3, 4, and between these two thick bonds there is no Gauss-Butane interactions. And if you just look at this very closely, these two bonds are anti to each other, and this portion of the molecule 1, 2, 3, 4, this portion of the molecule you consider as a butane, it will be an anti-staggered conformer, which is the most stable conformer of butane. In a similar way, you look at the other side also. Here also the two thick bonds are anti to each other. Therefore, there is no diaxial repulsion here. There is no Gauss-Butane interaction here. And because of that, this molecule is 3.6 kilocalories per mole more stable than the other conformation. At the same time, these two are interconvertible. These are conformers, so they are interconvertible. So these are interconvertible, and at the same time they are not the mirror images of each other. Therefore, these are called conformational diastereomers. Tertiary butyl cyclohexane is another example for monosubstituted cyclohexanes. And this is the axial conformer where we have the tertiary butyl group in the axial site. And this will have 1,3 diaxial repulsion with the hydrogen present in this carbon. This is carbon number 1, and this is 2, and this is 3. Here we have a beta bond, the beta axial bond with a hydrogen, and this hydrogen will have 1,3 diaxial repulsion here. Similarly, if you travel in the other side, this is 1, 2, and this is 3. Here also there is another axial hydrogen, and that will also have 1,3 diaxial repulsion with the tertiary group. Unlike the methyl group in methyl cyclohexane, here tertiary group is much bulkier than the methyl group, and hence the 1,3 diaxial repulsion is stronger here, and it raises the energy by 2.7 kilocalories per mole per 1,3 diaxial repulsion. There are two 1,3 diaxial repulsions, therefore the energy raise due to the 1,3 diaxial repulsions is 2.7 into 2. Therefore, this axial conformer has 5.4 kilocalories per mole higher energy than the equatorial conformer. And apart from that, there is Gauss interaction between this bond and this bond. You can just consider this carbon as 1, 2, 3, 4. This is forming a butane. And there is a possibility for a Gauss interaction between this bond and this bond. So there is a Gauss interaction here. Similarly, there is a Gauss interaction between this bond and this particular bond. This portion you can consider like a butane. You can have a Gauss butane interaction here also. Therefore there are two Gauss interactions which are also raising the energy of this molecule. Therefore, the two 1,3 diaxial repulsions and the Gauss interactions raise the energy of the molecule, and hence this axial conformer is much less stable than the equatorial conformer. And we can say this does not exist at all, or we can say this tertiary group is locking the chair form of cyclohexane from undergoing flipping. So there is no possibility for ring flipping for the equatorial conformer to go back to the axial conformation. And this is because of the much higher potential energy of this axial conformer. In all monosubstituted cyclohexanes, the substituent prefers to occupy the equatorial site, because if the substituent is present in the equatorial site, the conformer is free from 1,3 diaxial repulsions. As a result, in case of all monohalo cyclohexanes, the equatorial conformations are more stable than the axial conformations. As a result, this equilibrium constant is always greater than 1. The equilibrium constant for this ring flipping process, K, is equal to the concentration of the equatorial conformer divided by the concentration of axial conformer. And always the concentration of the equatorial conformer is much higher than the concentration of the axial conformer. Therefore, the equilibrium constant K is always greater than 1. Now, for all halo cyclohexanes, we expect the equilibrium constant to have this order. We expect the concentration of the equatorial conformer is the greatest for iodocyclohexane. Therefore, K4 is expected to be the highest value, because iodine is the halogen with the biggest size. Since it is bigger in size, that 1,3 diaxial repulsion is much stronger than the other cases. Therefore, we expect K4 to be the highest value. But what is observed is K4 is less than K3 and K2. This is the observed increasing order of equilibrium constants. It is because as the size of the halogen atom increases, the internuclear distance between carbon and the halogen, the bond length increases. As the bond length increases, the halogen atom goes away from the hydrogen. Suppose if there is fluorine here, the bond length will be shorter and the hydrogen and fluorine will be closer. Whereas in case of bromine or iodine, the bond length is more and the halogen atom goes a little away from carbon and it goes a little away from this axial hydrogen also. As a result, with the increase in size of the halogens, the bond length increases, the halogen goes away from this hydrogen and the 1,3 diaxial repulsion decreases. Since 1,3 diaxial repulsion decreases, the energy of the molecule also is less. That is why the K4 value is less than the K3 and K2. The same logic you can apply for any two conformers here given here. Now let us move on to the di-substituted cyclohexanes. There are four types of di-substituted cyclohexanes. 1,1, both the substituents present in the same carbon. 1,2, the substituents present in the adjacent carbon atoms. Then 1,3 and 1,4. There are four types of di-substituted cyclohexanes, and we shall start with the 1,1 di-substituted 1,1 dimethyl cyclohexane. And if 1,1 dimethyl cyclohexane, this conformer undergoes ring flipping, we get the other conformer. In this conformer, we have a methyl group in the axial side, another methyl in the equatorial. Here also there is one methyl in the axial, one methyl in the equatorial. Therefore, both the conformations are having equal energy. So, both these conformations are identical or indistinguishable from each other. Therefore, these are called as dopomers. In case if the two methyl instead of two similar groups, so when we had two methyl groups, two similar groups, these two are topomers. Whereas instead of two similar groups, if we have two different groups, then one conformer will have higher stability than the other. Which will have higher stability? The one conformer having the bulkier group in the equatorial site. Let us consider X is bulkier than Y. Then this bulkier group will always have a tendency to occupy the equatorial site, so that the 1,3 diaxial repulsions will be less. Here Y is smaller, so only the smaller Y group will have the 1,3 diaxial repulsions. So therefore the 1,3 diaxial strain energy will be less here. Suppose if the bulkier group is in the axial side, then the 1,3 diaxial strain energy will be higher. Therefore this molecule will have higher potential energy than this. Therefore, when we have two substituents in the same carbon atom, the conformer which has the bulkier group in the equatorial site is more stable than the other. When there are two different substituents present in cyclohexane system, I said the bulkier group should occupy the equatorial site. So here we have a methyl group and phenyl group present in the same carbon atom. And we know phenyl group with 6 carbon atoms is bulkier than the methyl group with 1 carbon atom. Therefore, we expect the phenyl group to be present in the equatorial site for the molecule to be more stable. And we expect this conformation 1 to be more stable, the conformation 1 to be the preferred conformer of this disubstituted molecule. But the actual observation is the conformer 2 is found to be more stable. The conformer 2 is found to be the predominant conformer. the preferred conformer? It is because when the phenyl group is properly oriented here, no, the diaxial repulsions will be less. There is a carbon-carbon single bond here about which the phenyl ring can undergo rotation, and since it can undergo a free rotation about carbon-carbon single bond, it can orient itself in such a way the 1,3 diaxial repulsion is less here. Moreover, we know it is a planar molecule. Benzene being a planar molecule, it can undergo, it can keep itself, it can orient itself in such a way the 1,3 diaxial repulsion between this hydrogen and the phenyl ring is much lesser. Whereas, let us consider this conformation where we have the methyl group and these methyl hydrogens are having strong 1,3 diaxial repulsions here. And in addition to that, the phenyl group oriented in the equatorial site also can have repulsive interactions as shown in this diagram with these two equatorial hydrogens. Therefore, this conformer 1 has higher energy due to the 1,3 diaxial repulsions and due to the repulsive interactions between the orthohydrogens of the phenyl ring and these equatorial hydrogens. Therefore, the conformer 1 has higher energy than conformer 2. So this is the more stable conformer, the predominant or preferred conformer. Now let us move on to 1,2 disubstituted cyclohexanes. As an example, we shall take 1,2 dimethyl cyclohexane. In this structure, we have this methyl group in the axial side. This is in the upward direction beta bond. This methyl group also is in the beta side. Therefore, these two bonds are in the beta side. Therefore, this is the cis form of 1,2 dimethyl cyclohexane. Both the substituents are present in the beta side. And if this conformer undergoes ring flipping, this axial bond will move to equatorial and this equatorial will occupy the axial site. So these two are interconvertible structures. These two are the conformers. And both these conformations are expected to have equal energy, since in both the cases we have one methyl group in the axial site, another methyl group in the equatorial site in both the cases. Therefore, both the molecules are expected to have equal energy. Therefore, the abundance of both the conformers should be equal. Now, coming to the energy of this conformer, there is one methyl group in the axial site, and hence you consider this methyl carbon is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. So these two thick bonds 1 and 2, these two will have Gauss butane interactions. Similarly, you move on in this direction, this forms one butane, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is forming another butane, and these two bonds are having Gauss butane interaction. Apart from these two Gauss butane interactions with the ring, there is a mutual Gauss butane interaction between these two methyl groups also. And all these Gauss butane interactions are present in the B conformer also. Now let us try to identify the relationship between the conformer A and conformer B as stereoisomers. To understand the stereochemical relationship between A and B, let us take the mirror image of this A. This is the mirror plane, and this C is the mirror image. And let us try to identify the stereochemical relationship between A and C first. And to understand the stereochemical relationship, we shall try to have a shortcut. Here, first of all, we shall fix an order to travel from one substituent to another substituent. Now I am fixing an order that is axial to equatorial. I am going to move from this axial substituent to equatorial substituent. Therefore, the order I have taken for this molecule is A axial to equatorial E. The same order I have to fix for this conformer also. So I have to travel from axial to equatorial. So the same order should be fixed for both the conformers. Point number 2. We started from axial. Is it in the beta side or in the alpha side? Yes, now it is a beta bond. So for axial you put beta. And for the equatorial this is also beta. So we are traveling from axial to equatorial or from a beta to beta bond. And that is what we have mentioned here, beta to beta. We go from this direction. And here again this axial bond is beta, the equatorial bond also is beta upward. So we travel from beta to beta. So for this molecule also we have fixed the orientations beta to beta. The axial bond is beta, equatorial bond is beta, axial beta, equatorial beta. Now the third step, you travel from the axial to equatorial, or you travel through the ring. From carbon number 1 you have to travel through the ring to carbon number 6, and while you are traveling you have to travel in such a way you are meeting the carbon with the substituent faster. Therefore we have to go in this direction. You have to, if this is 1, this should be 2. In the place of 6 you should not put 2, instead you have to put here 2 here. This is the preferred route for traveling. Therefore you go from this carbon, axial carbon, to equatorial. You travel through the ring in this direction. So when we travel in this direction, this is we are traveling in anti-clockwise direction, and that is what I have mentioned here. Now here also we have to travel from axial to equatorial. So from this axial group, the carbon containing axial group, I have to travel in the ring in such a way I am meeting the carbon with the substituent at earlier. So when we travel in this direction, I go from here 1, 2, 3, and this is the clockwise direction. Yes. So we have identified 3 parameters for the 2 conformations. Now the condition is, the first condition we only have fixed. We only decided to travel from axial to equatorial for both. So that will remain same for both. But the other 2 parameters we have to observe. If both the parameters of the 2 conformers are same or different, both are same, beta 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 beta, anticlockwise anticlockwise, like that. If both are same, if both the parameters 2 and 3 are same for both the conformers, both the conformations are same. So if both are different or both are same, the 2 conformations are same. Instead, if one of the 2 parameters is different, then the 2 conformations are the enantiomers, the DL pairs. Therefore, in case of A and C, these 2 are differing only in the third parameter. There is only one difference. Therefore, these are enantiomers. These are having enantiomeric relationship. Now, you look at the parameters of C and B. For C and B, all the 3 are same. Therefore, B and C are the same. If B and C are same, now you come to this ring flipping. When A undergoes ring flipping, it becomes B. Therefore, the relationship between A and B also is enantiomeric. So A and B are enantiomers or DL pairs. At the same time, energy wise, these two are having the same energy since they have one methyl in the axial and one methyl in the equatorial. Both are having equal energy. Since they are equal in energy, they cannot be separated, they cannot be resolved. So these two are DL pairs. These two are enantiomers which cannot be resolved. Therefore, the relationship between A and B is they are resolvable, non-resolvable enantiomers. Therefore, from our discussions, A and C are enantiomers since they differ only in one parameter, whereas B and C are the same. So when A and C are enantiomers, A and B are also enantiomers, but these two are having the same potential energy and hence they cannot be separated. They are non-resolvable enantiomers or non-resolvable DL pairs. Trans 1,2 dimethyl cyclohexane can exist with two different conformations. One in which the two methyl groups are in the axial site. In the other case, the two are in the equatorial site. So the diaxial conformer and diequatorial conformers are possible for this molecule. And this is the planar form I have shown. And normally the cyclohexane does not exist with the planar form. And any stereochemical aspects we should not decide based on the planar form. And here, let us compare the energy difference between these two conformers. In this diaxial conformer, there is 1,3 diaxial repulsive interaction between this methyl group and the two hydrogens present in these two axial sites. If this is carbon number 1, this is 2, 3. Here there is an axial hydrogen, and in the other side if you travel, here is an axial hydrogen. So with these two axial hydrogens there will be repulsive interaction with this methyl group. Similarly, with the downward alpha methyl group also there are two 1,3 diaxial repulsions. Therefore, there are four 1,3 diaxial repulsive interactions present in this diaxial conformer. And every diaxial repulsion raises the energy by 0.9 kilocalories. Therefore, uh, the four diaxial repulsions raise the energy of the molecule by 3.6 kilocalories per mole. And all these four 1,3 diaxial repulsions are absent in the diequatorial conformer. Now, there is another factor that is responsible for increase in energy of this conformer, that is Gauss-butane interaction. Here, this is the methyl group. Let us label this carbon as 1. This is 2. This is 3 and 4. These four carbon atoms form a butane. And these two bonds are having Gauss-butane interactions. Similarly, this thick line shows another butane, and this bond and these two bonds are having Gauss-butane interactions. So this methyl group has two Gauss-butane interactions with the ring. Similarly, another axial methyl group which is downward, that also has a Gauss-butane interaction here, another Gauss-butane interaction here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this bond and this bond have Gauss-butane interaction. This one and this one also have Gauss-butane. Therefore, there are four Gauss-butane interactions present in this diaxial conformer. Each Gauss-butane interaction raises the energy of the molecule by 0.9 kilocalories per mole. Therefore, four Gauss-butane interactions raise the energy of the molecule by 3.6 kilocalories per mole. Now we have to understand the relationship between these two methyl groups, methyl substituents, they are present in the anti-staggered conformation. So you just forget about this portion. You just take 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 carbon atoms all alone. So this bond and this bond are anti to one another. Therefore, there is no additional Gauss-butane interactions because of the methyl groups. There is no mutual Gauss-butane interactions here. So this molecule has only 4 Gauss-butane interactions. Now coming to this diequatorial conformer, there is no 1,3 diaxial repulsions, whereas there is only one Gauss-butane interaction, that is the mutual Gauss-butane interaction between the two methyl groups. So what about this bond and the bond present in the ring? 1, 2, just consider this carbon as 1, 1, 2, 3, and this is 4. This is forming a butane where this bond and the bond present in the ring are anti to one another. Similarly, this bond and this bond are also anti to one another, whereas the two thick bonds I have shown here are having Gauss interactions. Therefore, this molecule has one Gauss interaction and this has 4 Gauss interactions. Therefore, this diaxial conformer has 3 additional Gauss-butane interaction than the diequatorial conformer. So what is the difference in energy between these two? So this molecule has 4 diaxial, 1,3 diaxial interactions, which are raising the energy by 3.6. This has 3 additional Gauss-butane interactions. Therefore, due to Gauss-butane interaction, this has 2.7 kilocalories higher energy than this one. Therefore, 3.6 and 2.7 altogether, 6.3 kilocalories per mole higher energy is possessed by this conformer. Therefore, this is very unstable when compared with this. This is the preferred or predominant or more stable conformer having 6.3 kilocalories lower energy than the diaxial conformer. Therefore, because of the energy difference, higher energy difference between diaxial and diequatorial conformers, the trans 1,2-dimethyl cyclohexane prefers to exist in the diequatorial form. But let us consider the mirror image of this conformer. And let us follow the shortcut procedure that we have already discussed. Let us go from this equatorial bond to equatorial. I am going from equatorial to equatorial. This equatorial is alpha and this equatorial is beta. Therefore, I am going from alpha to beta. That is what I have given here. When I read the atoms of the ring from 1 to 6, I have to go in this direction so that I will meet the substituted carbon faster. So I have to read number 1 from here. 1, 2, 3. So I am traveling in the clockwise direction. The same procedure let us apply for here. Let me go from the same procedure. I am going from equatorial to equatorial. The same thing we have to fix here also. We have to go from equatorial to equatorial. This equatorial is alpha and this is beta. Therefore, we go from alpha to beta. And when we read the atoms of the ring as 1 to 6, we have to travel in the direction where we are meeting the substituted carbon earlier. So I have to go in this direction. So let me read the numbers 1, 2, 3. So I am going in the anti-clockwise direction. Now look at the 3 parameters. The first parameter is fixed by S, so we need not bother about that. That is the same for both. And for the second and third, the second one is same for both and the third one is different. In case of these two parameters, if there is only one difference, these are enantiomers or DL pairs. Therefore, in these two cases, there is only one difference in these two parameters. This is same and this is different. Since these two are differing in only one parameter, these are enantiomers, and at the same time, both the methyl groups are present in the equatorial side. Therefore, both are having similar energy, potential energy. Since they have equal energy, they cannot be resolved. Therefore, these are enantiomers which cannot be resolved. These are DL pairs which cannot be resolved. Now we shall consider 1,3 disubstituted cyclohexane, and here we have taken 1,3 dimethyl cyclohexane in cis form. Here there are two methyl groups in the 1,3 positions. Both are in the beta side. Therefore, this is a cis dimethyl cyclohexane, and this is a diaxial conformer because both the methyl groups are in the axial side. And when this undergoes ring flipping, this axial group becomes equatorial, but the beta remains beta. And this axial group becomes equatorial here, and that also is remaining beta. And among these two, this diaxial conformer is very much unstable because an axial methyl group, as we have learned from the previous discussions, an axial methyl group in the cyclohexane structure will have two Gauss butane interactions. One Gauss butane interaction is this 1, 2, 3, 4. Another Gauss butane interaction is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is another butane. So these two bonds will have Gauss butane, and this bond also will have Gauss butane. So every methyl group in the axial site will have two Gauss butane interaction. Similarly, this axial group also has two Gauss butane interactions. So apart from these four Gauss butane interactions, there is 1,3 diaxial interaction between two methyl groups. Now we have 1,3 diaxial interaction between hydrogen and methyl here, hydrogen and methyl here, and apart from that, the third one is between the two methyl groups. So 1,3 diaxial strain energy due to repulsion between hydrogen and methyl we know is 0.9 kilocalories per mole, whereas for two methyl groups, 1,3 diaxial interaction of two methyl groups, from the data we can see the diaxial strain energy is 3.6 kilocalories per mole. So therefore, due to the 1,3 diaxial interaction between hydrogen and methyl, there is 0.9 kilocalories energy raise. Another methyl hydrogen 1,3 diaxial interaction raises the energy by 0.9, and there is another 1,3 diaxial interaction between two methyl groups that increases the energy by 3.6 kilocalories per mole. Therefore, the energy raised due to 1,3 diaxial interactions alone is 3.6 plus 1.8, that is 5.4 kilocalories. So 1,3 diaxial interaction alone raises the energy of this conformer by 5.4 kilocalories than this particular conformer. And apart from that, there are four Gauss butane interactions. So there are 4 into 9, 3.6 kilocalories energy raise is there due to Gauss butane. So because of the 1,3 diaxial interactions and Gauss butane interactions, this conformer is having very much higher energy than this one. Therefore, usually the cis 1,3 dimethyl cyclohexane exists as a di-equatorial conformer, and in this di-equatorial conformer you can see there is a plane crossing at the center which is bisecting the molecule into two equal halves which are the mirror images of each other. Therefore, this molecule has got a plane of symmetry and it is optically inactive. Trans 1,3 dimethyl cyclohexane will have one methyl group in the axial site, the other one in the equatorial site. And if it undergoes a ring flipping, this axial will go to the equatorial site but still remains beta, and this equatorial methyl group goes to axial site, and these are remaining alpha. Now let us try to understand the stereochemical relationship between these two by the formula, the procedure that we followed earlier. Let us travel from axial to equatorial, and here also axial to equatorial. This axial is beta and equatorial is alpha. So we are traveling from beta to alpha. But here this axial is alpha and equatorial is beta. Therefore we travel from alpha to beta here. And now in both the cases we have to travel from, already we have fixed, we have to travel from axial to equatorial. So when we travel from axial to equatorial, here we are traveling in the clockwise direction, and here we are traveling in the anti-clockwise direction. So look at the parameters of the two conformers, and the first one we have fixed, and among the two conformers there is difference in both. So when both the parameters are differing, these two are identical. Therefore these two, when the ring undergoes a ring flipping, we are getting the same conformer, and of course they are having the same energy and they are the same. Now let us try to look at the mirror image of C. This is the mirror image of this conformer. And now let us try to understand the stereochemical relationship between these two by following the same procedure. We go from axial to equatorial and axial to equatorial, that we have fixed. This axial is beta and equatorial is alpha, so we go from beta to alpha. And here again this axial is beta and equatorial is alpha, we go from beta to alpha in both the cases. And here when we travel from 1 to 6 in the ring, in such a way we are reaching the substituted carbon earlier, we go in this anti-clockwise direction here, whereas here we travel in the clockwise direction. Therefore among the three parameters, these two are differing only in one parameter. Therefore B and C are enantiomers. So C and D are the same. B and A, just by looking at the parameters you can see B and A are also the same, but any one from this set 1 and one from this set 2 are the enantiomers of each other. So always the trans 1,3-dimethyl cyclohexane exists as a mixture of one from here and one from here, that is a mixture of DL pairs. Therefore and these two DL pairs are same in energy also. There is one methyl group in the axial and one other one in the equatorial. Therefore both are having equal energy. Since the enantiomers are with equal energy and they cannot be resolved, so these two are non-resolvable DL pairs. One for dimethyl cyclohexane. Let us start with the cis isomer. And if you take the planar structure of cyclohexane with the two methyl groups on the same side, you can see a plane of symmetry. But as I said earlier, we should never consider the planar structure of cyclohexane to analyze the stereochemical properties of the molecule, because it never exists in the planar form. Now when the two methyl groups are cis to each other in 1,4 position, they have to be axial equatorial in the 1,4 positions. When the axial group at carbon number 1 and the equatorial group at carbon number 4 are on the beta side. So this is a beta bond and this is also beta bond. Therefore this is a cis isomer. And when this ring undergoes ring flipping, this axial group will go to the equatorial side but still remains beta, and this equatorial group comes to the axial side and still remains beta. So these are the interconvertible conformers of cis 1,4 dimethyl cyclohexane, and of course both are having the same energy. Since the number of axial methyl groups are same, number of equatorial methyl groups are same, both are having the same energy. And you can find a plane of symmetry passing through carbon number 1 and 4 in both the cases. Therefore these are optically inactive molecules. So the cis 1,4 dimethyl cyclohexane is optically inactive, and you can try to apply the shortcut procedure we applied for the earlier molecules. You go from axial equatorial, here beta to beta and beta to beta. Here it is anticlockwise and here it is clockwise. Yes, here it is clockwise and here it is anticlockwise. And that procedure, if you apply here, you can understand that these two are the mirror images having the enantiomeric relationship, but anyhow both are optically inactive. Now let us move on to the trans isomer, trans 1,4 dimethyl cyclohexane. Here also you can apply a plane of symmetry. Yes, this is in the trans form. One methyl group is in the axial side here, and in the fourth carbon there is another axial methyl group. And here you can apply a plane of symmetry, which is bisecting the molecule into two halves. So here also there is plane of symmetry, hence, and both the conformers are optically inactive. And among these two, the diaxial conformer is less stable due to the four Gauss butane interactions. So one methyl group in the axial site will cause two Gauss butane interactions. This we have learnt already. Therefore, due to the presence of two uh, axial methyl groups, there are four Gauss butane interactions present here. And apart from that, the 1,3 diaxial interactions are there. Therefore, this conformer is highly unstable when compared with the di-equatorial conformer. Therefore, the trans 1,4 dimethyl cyclohexane always exists as the di-equatorial conformer. During our discussion about cis 1,3 dimethyl cyclohexane, we have seen that it can exist as two different conformers, 1,3 di-equatorial or 1,3 diaxial. And we know this diaxial conformer is having very much higher energy than the di-equatorial conformer. So normally we have a opinion that when there are two groups present in 1,3 positions in a cis isomer, they should be in the equatorial site to avoid the Gauss butane interactions or 1,3 diaxial interactions. But exceptionally, we have a molecule here. This is cyclohexane 1,3 diol in cis form. We expect the bulky groups, OH groups, to be present in the equatorial site. If it is present in the axial site, we expect the diaxial 1,3 diaxial repulsions. So we normally expect the di-equatorial conformer to be more stable, and this is the more preferred or predominant conformer. This should be. But the actual observation is the 1,3 diaxial conformer is more stable in the case of cis cyclohexane 1,3 diol. It is because there is an intramolecular hydrogen bond between these two OH group which stabilizes this molecule. You can find a formation of a 6-membered ring here. So due to the presence of intermolecular hydrogen bonding between these two OH groups, the cis form of cyclohexane 1,3 diol is always in the diaxial form. And this is uh, an exceptional case. Just like the previous case, we have another exception here. Uh, we have seen that trans 1,2-dimethyl cyclohexane can exist as di-equatorial conformer or diaxial conformer, and we have seen there is no possibility for the existence of a diaxial conformer because of the 1,3 diaxial repulsion, 4 Gauss butane interactions, all that. So this is very much higher in energy than the di-equatorial. So we always expect the di-equatorial form to be more stable, and usually this will be the only conformer that is existing. And because of the higher energy, uh, this may not exist. Now, in case if instead of dimethyl groups, two methyl groups, if you have two halogen atoms here, which will be the more stable conformer? The diaxial molecule can undergo ring flipping to form the di-equatorial, and the di-equatorial form I can represent like this also. These two are equivalent. But here, in case of the di-equatorial conformer, the two halogens are coming closer. The carbon halogen bond is polar, and the halogen is having delta minus partial negative charge here, and this halogen also is having delta minus. So these two groups with negative charges are very much repelling each other, and hence this di-equatorial conformer is less stable than the diaxial conformer. So this is another exceptional case where the 1,2 trans 1,2 dihalocyclohexane is preferred to uh, exist in the di-equatorial form. This is cyclohexane 1,3 dicarboxylic acid, and these two are the conformers. So both the COH groups are in the equatorial side, both are alpha bonds. So this is cis cyclohexane 1,3 dicarboxylic acid, and this also the cis isomer. And when this undergoes ring flipping, we get the diaxial conformer. And as we know, among these two, this di-equatorial conformer is more stable. But on heating, this di-equatorial becomes diaxial, and then the two carboxyl groups undergo dehydration to form the anhydride. So we will meet again with another topic from stereochemistry. Till then, bye from Amalur Podas.